Staff Sergeant Yared, or Jared in English, Ben-Caro was born in L.A. and immigrated to Israel in 2006 from Arizona after studying English, pharmaceuticals, and financial management. He served in the Israel Defense Force in Paratrooper Battalion 890 with the Heavy Weapons and Recon Company and fired the first shots of all ground troops in Operation Cast Lead. He now works in international security, catering to the private sector. He also recently finished a full-length book, Dreidel Full of Lead, From the Wild West to the Streets of Gaza, and he is a frequent speaker for Friends of the IDF. Jared, happy Passover, and thanks for coming on today.
Chag Sameach. How are you?
Good. Well, what inspired you to go to Israel and leave the U.S. in the first place, besides the patriotism one feels as a Jew?
Well, there are a couple different factors. For one thing, my whole family was military and law enforcement, but for the American military. My father was a fraud detective for LAPD. Both my grandparents were in the U.S. Navy, one of them at Pearl Harbor even, all the way back to the American Civil War. We fought for the South. So we kind of had it was almost genetic to want to do something military-related. But being a Jew, especially an observant Jew in the American military, is not an easy task. And there were other factors involved with the politics. It was right after the Second War in Lebanon. So I really felt it was in my personal interest and in line with my principles to join the Israeli military rather than the American military.
Your book, Dreidel Full of Lead, is hardly the only book written on the subject of the IDF as well as the Israeli-Arab, or Israeli-Palestinian, as some like to call it, conflict. What makes your book different?
Well, there's a couple different factors. First and foremost, it's the most current of all books on the topic, written from a first-person perspective. Similar books are written about events that happened in the early 90s, before the Oslo Accords even. And to date, my book is the only published comprehensive account of Operation Cast Lead, the recent Israeli offensive into the Gaza Strip in 2008 and 2009.
Do you often think when you're around American Jews, and I don't know if you heard the Daniel Greenfield segment, but do you often think that they're a little frivolous and you want to say, wake up, especially Jewish liberals, the J Street type? And what do you think when you're around these people?
Oh, absolutely. And it's absolutely mind-boggling for me because we live in a generation that is not that separated from the Holocaust. Especially if you're in Israel, almost every single family has someone, at least every single Ashkenazi family, has someone who died in the Holocaust. Their grandparents tell these stories at the Shabbat table. And so when I see American Jews, they're just, in the space of just 70 years roughly, completely disassociated from something that very nearly wiped us off the map. It just boggles my mind.
Jared, this is Bob Guzzardi. I was recently in Israel for 2 weeks, and I was with a tour led by Daniel Pipes. There was a woman from the UK who was focused on the situation of the Sephardi Jews from the Arab countries that were expelled around 1948. There's about 850,000 to a million. Who have largely been forgotten, but have experiences of being told, get out, and they were out of their houses, leaving all their positions within 24 hours. So it's not only the Ashkenazis, it's the Sephardi that have also been the victims of this latest outrage from Muslims, radical Muslims.
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. And even the rabbi of my shul tells stories of being imprisoned in Egypt for no other crime than being a Jew. Absolutely. Well,
that's a story that we'd like to get out. I'm also involved with Barry Rubin and the Glorious Center, and I have a friend of mine, Greg Roman, who emigrated from Yardley, Pennsylvania, served in the IDF in what he calls the territories. So I am familiar with your story, and I am just dazzled by people that would leave the United States and go to Israel because of their commitment to Judaism and to the Jewish people.
Jared, what do you say to those who espouse the common line that IDF military operations are unnecessarily harsh, inhumane, or even reckless towards civilians?
It's absolutely ridiculous. The Israel Defense Force is by far the most humane military on the planet. And even if you calculate our statistics of civilian casualties in ratio to combatant casualties, it's extremely low. It's even significantly lower than the American military. And the American military, I know from also personal experience working with them in the private sector, has very, very stringent rules of engagement. And some of our rules of engagement are so ridiculously strict even. One example would be if there is an individual holding a hand grenade and it's visible, I have permission, according to the rules of engagement, to shoot him. However, the moment he pulls the pin out of that hand grenade and throws it at me, he is now considered an unarmed civilian. And I am in danger of facing jail time if I shoot him a few seconds after he releases that hand grenade.
That's crazy. Well, finally, Jared, do you have any Passover message for our listeners, both Christian and Jewish?
I think one of my favorite aspects of the whole Pesach or Passover story is when Bnei Israel, or the children of Israel, get to the Sea of Reeds, or the Red Sea. And they're there, and all of the armies of Pharaoh are coming to destroy them or take them back to Egypt or whatever would happen. And the children of Israel didn't know what to do. And ultimately, to summarize the story, God's answer to us was to move forward no matter what. I think that's something, each year when Pesach time comes around, we need to think about where we're at in life and what we can do to move forward no matter what the obstacle. And correspondingly, the goal in this case was to get to Israel. And I think it's also important for all Jews and Christians alike, but to realize the importance of Israel and to do what we can to make it part of our lives and to support it.
Yared Ben-Caro, author of Dreidel Full of Lead, From the Wild West to the Streets of Gaza. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thank you very much. Have a good Chag.